Good day. This is Sunday, the 9th of June, and we got a response finally. We left them until June 6th to give us a response as far as what they're going to do for the inspection for this property. So anyway, it took until June 7th, 2019 at 9:13 a.m. Shamir Mehta, which is the manager for the Municipal Affair Enforcement Division of the City of Waterloo, for the region of Waterloo. That's why it's called the Ministry of Housing and Municipal Affairs, which is a provincial division, regarding full inspection to Christopher Bacon. June 7th, 2019 at 9:13 a.m. Good afternoon, Chris. That's interesting. Good afternoon at 9:13 in the morning. With your cooperation, we are committed to conducting a follow-up inspection in alignment with our processes and assisting you to the fullest extent that our authority allows. Once we agree on an inspection date and time, you can expect, and then in point form, inspection of your concerns related to property standards and other City of Waterloo bylaws. Issuance of order for violations. You and the owner will receive a copy of the order. Factors such as history and severity of violations will determine next steps. Also note the Waterloo Regional Police Services will be accompanying us during any site inspections. Again, we are committed to assisting you to the fullest extent of our authority. We are very clear on what our role and responsibility is in the community. If you feel otherwise, we respect your right to pursue other legal avenues. Regards, Shamir Mehta, Manager, Licensing and Standards, Municipal Enforcement Services, City of Waterloo. Phone 519-747-8557. Cell 226-339-4877. And email is shamir.mehta@waterloo.ca. So that's SHAMIR.MEHTA@Waterloo, WATERLOO.ca. So we had responded again. I responded right away as soon as I was able to get it filled out. It took me at least an hour anyway. June 7, 2019 at 10:37 a.m. I sent to Shamir Mehta, Julie Scott, which is the Administrative Assistant for the City of Waterloo, and Shane Turner, which is the Director of Municipal Enforcement Department of the City of Waterloo and Region and Province for the Ministry of Housing and Municipal Affairs. Right, Shane? Anyway, the response was, when? Have you seen the newest video on YouTube? We'll be posting another soon, including your fake municipal inspection. How much was the city billed so far? We request that you track all costs associated with the management of this file. For example, municipal address, 100A Marshall, and all the costs attributed to the issuance of the rental licenses for 98A Marshall Street, 98B Marshall Street, 100A Marshall Street, and 100B Marshall Street that were paid or distributed through dispersed through the City of Waterloo budget. Just a note here, the reason why we're asking for those 4 properties is because that's the 4 properties owned by commissions worldwide that were equally not given a rental license and were deliberately not pursued for a rental license, that were involved in this action. They're involved too because they were lied to as well. Anyway, they're pursuing their own issues. Anyway, as far as I know. But that doesn't preclude any actions that were done at those places as evidence of further wrongdoing and the serial nature of this, as far as the perpetrator, the landlord, Commissions Worldwide Inc., and the city and the way, and province, etc., and the way that they responded. Anyway, back to the letter. We ask this officially through Freedom of Information and MIPPA, which is the Municipal Information and Privacy and Protection Act, and all other Freedom of Information laws applicable for a resident of the City of Waterloo in the province of Ontario. Request a copy of all documents, including all hours attributed and paid through salaries to upper management. For example, track hours spent, including meetings related to rental license bylaw with the City of Waterloo and its stakeholders. This is to include Mayor Jaworski with his business as regional representative on council for the City of Waterloo. Hang on. Sorry, I was interrupted there. Anyway, so back to the letter. Are you aware that the landlord is still causing rent to be collected when he remains unlicensed? Has he been charged for violating the rental license bylaw? This makes the city an accessory to fraud and breaking your own bylaw. as you feel the need to continue to use the Waterloo Regional Police Services as a means of intimidation and harassment while they are coming, have them bring a fraud detective, as you did report the landlord's fraud to them, right? For example, knowingly entered into an unlawful rental contract under false pretense using an old rental license and his affiliation as an agent for Kupel Marcoux to add a sense of security and validation when it was his personal investment. He is an active real estate agent who is engaged in improper and possible criminal activity. You did report it as required by law, right? Or just further criminalizing the victims? I know which one my money is on. Are you paying for the phony municipal enforcement inspection from May 30th out of your pocket, Shamir? You wasted everybody's time and the city's money fooling around if you just followed the law. We understand that there is confusion as to how this is supposed to work, so our next public service video is asking those responsible to apply some leadership and make a public declaration to clear it all up once and for all. After all, the PCs promise to stamp out government corruption. Now, as we tell all of you, and it appears that this is also what you are most afraid of, prove it. If this property is legal, prove it. And that's the primary function under law, is to ascertain what the legal standing of this property is for anybody who's about to make a decision on it, whether it be yourselves or anybody with landlord-tenant or the Ministry of Housing. That's the primary reason why the minimal standard examination exists. Because if it doesn't meet the minimum standard, it's not deemed a lawful rental. You're not allowed to charge rent for it, and the law is clear on that. So we invite Doug Ford and Carolyn Mulrooney and Steve Clark, and maybe even the Solicitor General. You guys all sit down, you see what the law is, and come out with the standard. Tell everybody what it is. You know, are you allowed to rent a property if it is unlawful because it doesn't meet minimum standard? And what exactly is the province's line on that? Well, we know what it is, because all you have to do is go to Landlord-Tenant Board and you see all they're doing is milking it. They're not fixing the problems. They're repeating for the next person. And when it's a building code, they don't look at the building, they go by units. You know, such as this building is a semi-detached building, which was built at the same time, comprised of 2 units. 2 housing units in a building that is a semi-detached building. We're going to show you shortly that this is the same for both properties. It's the same owner for both properties as well, so there's no reason for any confusion. And he's seeking an active rental license right now, approval for a rental occupancy license to rent with the city right now, and yet he hasn't done anything to correct anything or get ready for this. That's because I guess he's confident that they're going to help him cover it up again, like they always do for people, because that's what they think their job is. Anyway, back to the letter. Thank you, Chris Bacon and Denise DeVal, co-tenants, 100A Marshall Street in the city of Waterloo, in the regional municipality of Waterloo in the province of Ontario. And the reason why we did that is because they seem to, he's trying to make it look like, oh, well, that's city business. And we don't do the region's business. We don't do the province's business. Anyway, you can hear for yourself. We put that tape out. But you got to ask yourself the question anyway. So for all and Marshall Street tenants, and on behalf of all tenants in Ontario, all legally operating landlords, hope all is well with you and yours. Be well. May peace be with you and yours always. So anyway, then we received another one Friday at 8:32 p.m. We were notified that, hi Chris, we will be there at 2:30 on Monday. Shamir Mehta, licensing and standards. And here, I don't know if you can see that on the screen. But you can see there's the email. Anyway, I assume you can see that. Anyway, that's where we're at. So the other thing too is that we just found out that the weather for Kitchener is not going to be that great for that day for doing an outdoor one at 2:30. So we went ahead and proposed to them. I sent them an email this morning proposing that if they wish to, they could change it to Tuesday, which is supposed to be sunny and much better. So, sorry, I'm just trying to get organized here. Get out of frame. Sorry. There you go. Gene Simmons. For all those people who said they didn't think that Gene had a fat head, I beg to differ. Look, he's pretty fat there, isn't he? Anyway, yeah. So we'll go back out here. And as I said, so they're coming on Monday, which is tomorrow. This is 100A, and as you can see from the wide shot, the building is a semi-detached building comprised of 2 units built at the same year. So when they do a building inspection, they should be inspecting the whole building, and in this case the building is owned by the same owner, and this is 98B and 98A, also owned by the same owner. This is the other one that is applying for rental licenses right now, that were without rental licenses for the last 2 years when they were required to, which made them unlawful to rent based on what the law says. So just to let you see again, so this is the property from the front, and as I said, we're going to go to the we're going to go to the land registry office, and I'm sure the land registry office will show that this building is a semi-detached building. So we're going to get the verdict tomorrow. Again, the rest of it's on there. So the rest of it's on there. And yeah. So like I said, here's the window well is broken. And they're supposed to have a window well around it, but we'll see what they come up with as far as the rules go for provincial. They're supposed to have a window well to prevent the water from entering. And again, the fence and all that. And here, I just wanted to show you, see, here's our deck. As I showed you before, there's a actual graph that they have for landlord tenant, which applies for coatings. So it says if they recover a, so it says if they recover like a deck with typical decking stuff, it means that it's good for. Well, I'll find the actual thing and put it up, but it says like a deck is worth 10 or 15 years if done properly. A metal shed is good for 10 or whatever years if done properly from the year that it's, so that's the years it's attributed to. So anyway, as you can see, this building is a semi-detached, and our property is right here, but as you can see, also owned by the same owner, his deck is way worse than ours. There's rot in the deck. It has not been surfaced in as much time as ours, and this is an obvious thing. We're just pointing out the obvious stuff because we expect that based on the way they're acting, this inspector is going to come here just to look at 100A. So they're going to turn a blind eye to exactly the same things going on here, and more importantly at 98B, because they share the same traits. If the violation is at 100A, it's also at 98B. So if they don't inspect fully these other properties, especially when it comes to grade, because again, the issue here is Mayor Jaworski and City Hall, you need to get your engineers out here to do a proper survey of the lowland area here to see what happened, because this is a floodplain and it should have been corrected when they did the level of the driveway. As you can see, here's the level of the driveway. That is the same level as the driveway, is exactly where the top of this level should be, with proper fill. With proper fill, and it should extend all the way back to the backyard. So you need to come do a survey, and also to the corner of this driveway here. And it should be at least level with that driveway level there, because that's the proper grade for that driveway, right? If that's the proper grade for that driveway, it's a proper grade for here. Otherwise, in the floodplain, they have designed it to pool in this area and create its own little swamp area, which is exactly what has happened. Ponding. The rest is just no due diligence and letting the taxpayers suffer all the consequences, especially the tenants. So as I said, here's our shed again. Same condition as that shed. Same property issues, but they're going to ignore this, even though the building is a semi-detached building. Just like that building is a semi-detached building comprised of 2 units. Again, it's a lot less problems because it's the same owner. Say hi, Tiger. How you doing, buddy? Anyway. So, Mr. Premier, you wanted to end corruption, government corruption, eh? You want to save taxpayers' money? It's very simple. The law is clear. You and Carolyn and Steve get together. You can bring the Solicitor General with you, because he has to talk about these policing issues. Where is the Accessibility Ontarians with Disabilities Act access? Where is the different levels sharing this information? Why is it that somebody has a disability, they report to provincial government and federal government, they pass the toughest test in the land, which is ODSP test, are declared permanently disabled, and yet you have to apply for each individual disability and benefit separately, if you know about it. So Trillium Fund, you know, to help with drugs and stuff. You know, every other country you go there, as soon as you're declared disabled, they go, here are all the list of services you may be eligible for, and give you what you need. Here in Canada, it's like, well, just pay another fee. Or I'm sorry, you're being a little bit belligerent right now, so we can't help you. We don't have to help you because you are being annoying to us. Really? Okay, well, the law says differently, and we're going to correct that. That's what the law, that's what change is for. Anyway, we invite you and Karen Redmond, especially you, Karen, because the region has a lot of explaining to do, especially with what happened to me at the courthouse. It's all coming together now, though. And it all started here, just up the street, with exactly the same actions, suppressing our ability to defend ourselves, obstructing justice, acting improperly, not following your mandate. Because bottom line is this, people, and this is our belief, and please, Chief Justice of Ontario, whoever wants to make the comment, here's the bottom line. We are all responsible, share responsibility and minimum standard. But when it's reported to you, the main function of municipal enforcement is to determine exactly what the legal standing of that building is, or property is. Because no proper decision can be made anywhere, landlord, tenant board, or otherwise, unless you know the full legal standing of that building. So that's why our solution is, it's the owner's responsibility. If you decide to have a rental unit in Ontario, you make them have a fully certified provincial inspection that ensures that it meets minimum standard as of that date and that time. If it doesn't, the work orders are given, which says this is what needs to be done to correct it. This is the time it needs to be corrected. They do the corrections, they have a re-inspection. Once it passes inspection, that as of that date, that time, it is certified as a legal, lawful rental. Then if you have occupancy permit rental deals, licenses like in Waterloo, when they come in to do the second check, that's what it is. It's a second check. Second checks and balance to make sure that there's nothing missed. Exactly as required by law. That is the minimum standard. It doesn't mean the bare minimum that you can get away with. You need to change the system. The time is now, because otherwise it's a class action suit on behalf of every tenant in Ontario. Because enough is enough. You do know what a building is, right? It's the sum of all of its units. So if one or several of the units are complaining about the building, you need to inspect the building. That's why it's called a building code, right? Anyway, there's confusion. Your people, obviously, Shamir Mehta and all these people do not believe it's their business checking for provincial standards. At least that's the impression they've given us, and they're adversarial, and they're interfering with our security of person. And they are allowing this person who is a multiple serial con artist, who conned 3 people saying that this was a legal lawful rental, and involved us in illegal activity for the last 2 years without our knowledge. And the city supposedly protecting us didn't let us know that it even existed, and anytime we asked for any information, they are adversarial and defensive when it's supposed to protect the tenant. Well, they're full of it. I'm calling you on your bluff. It's time to prove it. And guess what? Regardless of how they play their game tomorrow, it's going to be decided. We will be posting the results. And if it's an illegal rental, which it is, then we automatically call on the minister and the attorney general and the premier to demand that all 4 of these properties immediately get a full inspection. Any of these properties that have not had a rental license under commissions worldwide will have a full inspection before they are granted any kind of rental license. And we are also asking Waterloo Regional Police Fraud Squad to investigate the misrepresentation and fraud that was done, because this is a real estate agent. This is a certified real estate agent. This is the second certified real estate agent that's been covered by your actions to interfere, deny, deflect, obstruct, criminalize, and victimize the law-abiding complainant. And like I said, you may be applying notwithstanding. Well, I'm not standing with you anymore with this. You're done. By the way, we are asking for solicitors and lawyers to drop off the resume or contact us, please. We are looking for somebody with human rights experience, but it is based on notwithstanding, and we're telling you what the action is based on, because what we've discovered is that it's about notwithstanding. It's not just about Quebec. Notwithstanding is a legal term. That means you have no standing. So any tenant, and some landlords too, legally operating landlords, are caught in the middle of their game of fleece the subjects. You know, it's time that the most basic thing gets done. It's simple. If you get a full inspection, that proves as of that date and that time you have met the lawful requirement in order to rent. And if that's not the bare minimum of what you're doing, then get the hell out. Because you're not protecting anybody. All you're doing is drumming up new business. And if anybody has any doubts, go check out the database of the Landlord Tenant Board, run by which is the division of the Ministry of Housing and Municipal Affairs. And legal aid, all they do is siphon people into their little corral of how they want things done and not following the law. And it's always about subverting the truth that they're not even checking. And that's what we're uncovering here. It's just a rubber stamp on paper so they can do business. But don't worry, it's just business. You know, keep paying your taxes. Anyway, this is a public service thing. This is to make sure the people are safe, because we've been here for 2 years abiding by every part of our contract. We were through misrepresentation and fraud, they didn't honor any of their contract, and it looks like they never were intended to. And here the business, because there may be there's telltale signs that there's a development deal going through for this corner, and he happens to have bought up all the properties on this whole corner. So yeah, we need to look at exactly what the hell's going on here. What's your definition of racketeering? When you suppress truth and pigeonhole people into a system that's rigged, and the basic modicum of actually meeting a standard of law in order for anybody to make any kind of legitimate decision is interfered with. Anyway, we're looking for change. More on the other thing as far as my challenge, but we're looking for lawyers to drop off their resumes, please. And other than that, we're waiting for Doug Ford. Hey, Doug, come on, step up. You and Caroline and Steve have some coffee, you know, look at the books. Come out with at least a general statement, or at least let's have a, you know, put it on your letterhead and have it sent down from on high, that the basic minimum standard is where it starts, right? There's a lot of property and lives at risk here. Time for you to step up. Anyway, we hope you do it, Doug. You always wanted to be like your brother. Let's see. Are you? I don't think so. And anybody who hides behind lies is a coward. Especially the Crown. Been through your system. Got it all on record. Literally. Let's press play. Have a good day. We'll get in touch with you next time. Coming up on 20 minutes here. Trying to keep them down. Anyway. Be careful who you're voting for, eh? And ask them to say who they pledge allegiance to. Ask every politician in Canada to publish their Pledge of Allegiance on their website to show who they pledge allegiance to. And it's not who you think. Anyway, don't vote for them until they do. You want to get an education, Canada? Take the challenge. Oh, and take the walk the block challenge too. Take a picture and send it into Shane.Turner at Waterloo.ca. Walk up the block here and take a picture of anything that doesn't have that looks like it's out of sorts, that's not up to code, especially if it doesn't have any railings, you know, fences that are leaning over sideways, anything like that stands out like that. Take a picture of it and send it to him and to the housing minister, and maybe even Doug Ford. Maybe they'll start seeing that there's a crisis here. It's called corruption. Time to deal with it, Doug, and Carolyn, and Steve, and Solicitor General, and Chief of Police for Waterloo Regional Police Services, Karen Redmond, and the Police Services Board. Where do you go to have somebody take your complaint for you when you can't write it down for yourself because of psychological damage, and every time you go to one of your people, you interfere? So you can publish that stuff on the website too. I hear the ombudsman looking for that information too, because they couldn't even give us 2 numbers of anybody we can call. Anyway, we'll post that one later too. Nice system you have here.